episode 5 of Crash Test Diva. I'm your host, Christy Eichers. On today's show, my sister Annie is back for our Taking It for a Test Drive segment. She's going to share some great gift ideas for those hard-to-shop-for guys on your list. We have a long-distance serenade to a couple gals who've been friends since the 80s, and we have the bad fashion photos to prove it. And I'll end the show with a story about a family heirloom I picked up at a garage sale. Let's get started.
Also.
On this week's Also segment, remember this was the new segment we launched last week. It was inspired by my niece Josie. It's the part in the show where we have a bit more to say about the previous episode, or maybe we want to share some feedback that we've received from listeners like you. Here's a little audio message I received from a voice you may recognize.
Hey, Christy, it's your recurring guest, Mark Howard, from episode number 2, with a little feedback on episode number 4. Number 1, whole lot of estrogen going on. I mean, whoo-wee. Thought I was girly before, but more so after listening to that one. And number 2, little bit of the heebie-jeebies on the deodorant tip. And I don't have enough minutes in a year to make my own deodorant, no less the thought of having that under my arms. I'd rather use one of my bounce dryer sheets. What do you think of that?
First of all, as I was editing episode 4, I thought the same thing. We were a bit estrogen dominant. I do have a feeling that most of our listeners are female, so I don't necessarily think this is a bad thing. However, I want to appeal to a broader audience. So perhaps we're going to have some kind of estrogen rating system, similar to the motion picture rating system. 1 being low estrogen and 5 being estrogen dominant. That way, our listeners can decide if they can handle listening to an episode. Yes, Craig Crales, you've inspired this estrogen rating system. Now, regarding the deodorant, I heard from many of you about this little test drive I'm on. First of all, I understand that not all of you are on a journey to reduce the aluminum and chemicals in your life. That's okay. I won't judge. For those of you interested in learning about some alternative ways of thinking, we're going to have some ideas to share with you. And back to that previous group, feel free to tune in just to be amused, to laugh at what I'm sure you think are ridiculous experiments. I know I said I'd wait for a month, but I want to give you a bit of an update on my Milk of Magnesia deodorant test drive. Many of you who contacted me said this was ridiculous because of the mess factor and the wait to dry factor. Believe it or not, I discovered a solution to this. On Amazon, they sell these refillable rollerball bottles, just like deodorant bottles that you can fill yourself. I ordered them, and I filled them with my Milk of Magnesia, and they have been working like a charm. No mess, same dry time as other roll-ons. Problem solved. And I'm really excited to report it is working. I do reapply before working out, but that is not a big deal. We've included a link to the rollerball bottles and the Milk of Magnesia in our show notes. For those of you interested, give it a try and let us know what you think. For those of you who want to stick some bounce dryer sheets under your pits, you go. We won't judge. I also got some feedback from a friend of my niece, Taylor Hall. He let me know that the show sounded scripted. Well, Taylor, it is. With that said, hopefully it won't sound as scripted in future episodes. As I've mentioned in previous episodes, I'm new to this. It's a hobby to me, and I'm still trying to figure it all out. I'm hoping you'll stick with us, and at some point in the near future, you'll be able to hear some improvement. And finally, on Thanksgiving Day, I got a text from my Uncle Pat, who lives in California. Well, he isn't really a blood uncle, but he was one of my dad's best friends. Anyway, he texted me to let me know he had a great guest that we need to book for a future episode. Somebody who was sitting at the Thanksgiving table with him. Thanks, Uncle Pat. I can't wait to have Jewel on very soon. If any of you have ideas for guests or segments, please send them our way.
Yapping, Yiddish yapping, Yiddish yapping, oh Yiddish yap, yap, yap.
So I was watching some TV over the weekend, and the Yiddish word mensch kept being used. So as I was thinking about recording our segment, I thought a word for us to discuss during the Yapping Yiddish segment could be mensch. So how does that sound to you?
I think that sounds great. It's starting to remind me of my childhood in the backseat of the car with my mother glaring at me, telling me how I needed to behave before we went inside, and my brother and I undoubtedly misbehaved.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so explain this word and how it was used and how you got the big stink eye from your mom in the back seat.
Well, when you're a kid, you are surrounded by older people, and if you're on your best behavior, most often someone will go up to your mother or your father in my community or in my family and say, "Oh, your son is such a mensch. He opened the door for me. He's so good looking. He's such a mensch. He's so polite." And so throughout your life, as a younger person, you associate when you're called a mensch with the fact that you probably did something good.
Okay, so this is a good thing. We all want to be called a mensch at some point. Is that correct?
Well, absolutely. And I was convinced that it was only only a boy could be a mensch when I was a kid. But actually, when you look up the definition in one of the many Yiddish dictionaries online, mensch is actually for a man or a woman. So I grew up thinking it was a gentleman, but it's actually just a person. The definition of a mensch is just a person who does the right thing and a person who's thoughtful and respectful. I mean, you definitely don't want to be the opposite of a mensch, let me tell you that.
And what is that word?
Well, there's a few different ones. You can either be a mazik, which is kind of a troublemaker or a rebel rouser, someone who's not got a little bit of the devil in their eye.
A mazik.
Or a mazik, yeah.
Okay.
Or he's got mazik in him. He's got mazik in his face. He's got, kind of trouble.
You don't want to be a mazik. You want to be a mensch.
No, exactly. You want to be a mensch. You want to be another form of the word mensch is a gittin shuma.
A gittin shuma.
A gittin shuma. And a gittin shuma, like a mensch, but similarly, it's just a good person, a good soul. We all have that friend who just always does the right thing, and it's so irritating. Yeah. We all love them because we love them, but they make us look bad. So that's a gittin shuma.
Okay, so during this holiday season, we are going to be a mensch or a gittima.
Or a gittin shuma. But if you really want to make sure if your being a mensch is working, feel free to stop by your local store and pick up Mensch on a Bench, which is exactly like Elf on a Shelf. So you too can have a mensch judge inside of your house this holiday season, believe it or not.
Okay, wait. Now this is something I've learned. So this is a little Hanukkah thing.
It is.
Okay, so
instead of Elf on a Shelf, Mensch on a Bench, you can now buy, and it's a little mensch kind of figurine sitting on a bench, and as long as you're a mensch for the 8 days of Hanukkah, you will get gifts every day. But heaven forbid you should have mazik in you or start being a little you-know-what. All of a sudden, the mensch on a bench will know that you're not being a mensch, and the gifts will just stop coming.
Okay, so this is a great Hanukkah lesson. Now, I have a question for you. Do you think
Yes.
the mensch on the bench came first or the elf on the shelf?
Well, I suppose it depends on who you ask. It's kind of like when you're in the room with your mom and all of her kind of equals, and you ask, so who started that cornbread recipe? All of a sudden, 7 different women will have claimed that they have the intellectual property on the cornbread that they all found off the same mix in the store at Cub Foods and made it their own by adding a little dollop of sour cream or butter instead of margarine.
Okay, so now I really have to ask you, because when I was growing up, we didn't have this elf on the shelf. Did you have the mensch on the bench when you were growing up? You're younger than me.
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, clearly when Elf on a Shelf came out, in the Jewish community, we tend to feel left out in terms of retail around the holidays. Many of you know we usually get about one end cap at Target that has the same variety of menorahs and Hanukkah candles and sort of cellophane decorations that don't seem to ever quite match up to the warehouses of Christmas stuff that seems to be out already by the time Halloween comes around.
Yeah, I was going to say, when does that Hanukkah stuff make that end cap? Is it after Thanksgiving or when?
Oh, it's been up for a few weeks because Hanukkah this year, which some of you may not know, changes because it's based on a lunar calendar. So this year it starts on December 12th.
Okay, this has been a great lesson. We learned mensch, we learned mazik, we learned
getting a shuma.
getting a shuma. I'm going to strive to be a getting
Christy,
a shuma this season.
You're getting better on your Yiddish yapping.
I'm working on it, my friend. I'm working on it. This has been a really fun lesson. I always love to learn about Hanukkah, and now I know about the mensch on the bench. I am just so excited to have you on the show, my friend. Thanks for joining us again.
Well, of course. Well, thanks for having me.
Hey, Benjamin.
Yes.
Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah to you. Don't forget to be a mensch.
It's time in the show for our Taking It for a Test Drive segment. And back again is my sister Annie. However, unlike her first two appearances, we will not be reviewing any nuts. Hi, Annie.
Hello, thanks for having me back.
Well, we are excited for you to be here because this is probably going to help a lot of people with their holiday shopping. Tell us what you're going to talk about today.
I have a few ideas for you looking for gifts for men and teenage boys in your life. They're always difficult to buy for.
I agree. Tell me what I need to be looking for.
All right, the first one I have is a keychain bottle opener from 14 gauge. The company is named 14 gauge because that is the weight of metal they use to cut the keychains. It's a laser cut keychain with an imprint of any state you want cut out of the center. It comes with a leather loop and can be tied to a bag, or you can use it as a keychain. I also think they look very nice tied to the top of a package. It's a little like an ornament, but a little bling on your package.
Or maybe you could buy someone one of those specialty 6-packs and tie it to a nice specialty 6-pack.
That is perfect, as long as they are of drinking age.
Yeah, precisely. I like it. Well, that sounds good and easy.
Easy, very
We just
easy.
go to Etsy. We'll link to that in our show notes.
Yes, Etsy.
Okay, got it.
All
okay.
right, my next one also is a little drinking related. It's the Yeti can cooler. It is called the Rambler Colster, and this is the Mac Daddy of can coolers. It's from Yeti, who makes those really awesome coolers.
So this isn't your typical can koozie.
No, this does the job. It's got a gasket that secures your drink into the holder. It will keep your beverage cold for hours, and it won't sweat.
So is there like a cover to it then?
Nope, it's just got it's a stainless steel.
Okay.
Or it also comes in a variety of lovely colors. And then this gasket at the top kind of holds it all in.
Okay.
And it will keep your drink cold on the boat, if you're hunting, if you're, where else do you need a drink? If you're at the art fair, wherever you are.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and those are $25.
But now you don't have to be of drinking age to enjoy this
Nope,
one because you could use your soda,
exactly,
right? Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And again, like I said, stainless steel or a variety of beautiful colors. Yeti.com or any of the places that sell Yeti coolers will have them.
How much is something like that?
It's $25.
Oh, that's not too bad
No,
for a
not
Yeti
bad at all.
product. Okay.
Not bad.
I know you're a fan of the Yeti. You guys have a Yeti cooler, right?
We love our Yeti cooler.
Okay,
yes.
well, there you go.
Yes.
So if you have a bigger budget for somebody, you would recommend the Yeti cooler.
I would absolutely, if you are going for the big guns, get a Yeti cooler.
If you want to impress your man,
that is
buy
the
him a
deal.
Yeti.
That's right. That's what I gave my husband for his birthday.
There you go. There you go.
All right.
Nothing says love like a Yeti.
Like a Yeti cooler, yep.
Okay.
All right, the third item on my list is the Caribou insulated mug with refills. They do this. It will be available in the next week or so. And it is a $40 mug, but with that $40, you get unlimited coffee refills until the end of January, or you get $3 lattes and signature beverages.
Okay, so throughout the month of January, I could go in there 3 times a day and get a coffee refill.
It said unlimited.
Wow, I
And
like it.
We did this last year. Last year, they didn't start until January 1. This year, it actually starts as soon as you buy the mug.
As soon as you buy the mug?
Yes. So if you're buying it for yourself, go for it.
Yeah.
If it's a gift, they can start using it right away after
What
Christmas.
What is the pattern on this cup this year? Because
I'm not sure I can tell.
Oh well, but this goes live on tomorrow. When did they go live?
It's, I think, not available till the 9th. I will just tell you it's a lovely color.
Okay, so it's basically a solid.
Yes.
With their logo.
Yes.
Okay, so
good for
a
anyone,
man
really,
or a woman.
But for the man who drinks coffee in your life, this is a great gift.
Tell our listeners why you have the inside scoop on this.
Well, my son and daughter both work at Caribou, so when I went in to ask if they were having it again, I was given a little bit of information to share.
Well, and I will tell you that last year I received this gift from, I think, your son Sam,
Yes.
and Loved it.
Yes.
It's really a fun thing to have, and you really appreciate that person all throughout the month of January.
You are just pounding the coffee.
I know. In February, you just don't know what you're going to do. Exactly. But I love that gift. So that's a wonderful idea, and that is for anybody on your list.
All right, the last thing on my list is Crazy Erin's Thinking Putty. This stuff is awesome. It comes in a little tin. It's similar to Silly Putty, but not quite as sticky. It comes in lovely colors and metallic finishes. It's a great stress reliever or fidget. You can collect all the colors. My son has about 12.
Well, I was going to say, I think I have one that is heat sensitive and changes colors.
Yes, and there's a magnetic one that sucks this giant magnet into it. There's a glow in the dark.
Wait, it sucks a magnet into it?
Yes, so the putty has a magnetic, so when you it comes with a big magnet, and when you set it on the putty, it goes in and gets covered by the putty.
Oh my.
It's really fun.
I also think isn't it good for strengthening your
hand strength? Absolutely.
Yes. Okay, yeah.
Hand strength, and it's a good thing just to have at your desk, where you're working. It comes in a bigger tin, which ranges anywhere from $10 to $16, depending on the finish. If it's one of the fancier ones,
right.
It costs a little more.
Right.
But you can also get the small tins, and they're usually about 3 for $10. And a little sidebar, Crazy Erin I believe he's in Pittsburgh. He employs all kinds of differently abled people to make this. He is a great
entrepreneur.
And just a great member of his community. You can buy this at any place that sells toys. Will probably sell Crazy Erin's Thinking Putty. They have a website which has the entire collection, and there are a lot to pick from, a lot of colors. And again, this isn't just great for guys.
Oh,
but,
right. Well, that 3-pack sounds like a really good stocking stuffer.
It is a great stocking stuffer.
Awesome.
Yep. And I've given many of these away, and everybody loves it.
And like the minimum age, is it like a 6 and up?
Probably 6 or up, yeah.
Yeah, but I was going to say I love it.
And the college students love it.
Right. It's great. It's great. And there's a lot of, I think, research out there that talks about when you need creative energy is to have some of those kind of fidget kind of things going on to play with. So,
and this one is just, I can't say enough good things about it.
I will say it's kind of addictive because I love mine. And I've had mine for a number of years, so it lasts.
Yeah, it doesn't dry out, and you just keep it in that little tin and, try not to get any gunk in it.
Okay. So to recap, we've got a bottle opener that pairs well with a 6-pack.
That's right, from 14 gauge. We've got the Yeti Rambler Colster. That's the can cooler on crack, the big one.
Yeah, okay, got it.
The Caribou insulated mug with refills.
A little over a month of refills.
That's right. And the Crazy Erin's Thinking Putty.
Well, Annie, thank you. This has been very helpful. I will put all the links to these websites or these products, if we can find them online for people, and maybe some images. If we've got some images, we'll load them onto the website. So thank you for being here and for helping us with our holiday shopping.
Happy shopping, everyone.
It's time for our long-distance serenade. This is the part of the show where we celebrate years gone by with the soundtracks from our life. It's a nod to Casey Kasem's long-distance dedication. But we don't play the recorded version. Our own Renaissance rebel, John Collins, he strums out a little tune on his guitar. Without further ado, all the way from Traverse City, Michigan, Christy Wodak, tell us about your long-distance serenade.
This long-distance serenade goes out to my dear friend Mandy Nowicki. Side note, whenever I tell stories from the past, I really feel obligated that I need to go by maiden names. Is it just me? Anyway, Mandy and I met at Frosty Boy, think Dairy Queen without blizzards, in little old Ortonville, Michigan. Mandy was a year younger and a much cooler cat than me. I was a classic, studious, rule follower kind of gal. It was 1985, and we were going to see Huey Lewis and the News at Pine Knob Music Theater. For some reason, and I'm going to blame it on the 80s, we felt the need to dress alike. We had the big hair and matching silky, okay, let's be honest, 100% polyester purple blouses. Quick reminder, this is an outdoor venue, and we had lawn seats. We thought we were styling. Oh, and by the way, I have photos to really give you a chuckle. As we were driving into Pine Knob, we hit stop-and-go traffic. Mandy, being the classic prankster, had a prank all set up. She started chatting it up, flirting with some guys walking into Pine Knob. This should tell you we were going at a snail's pace. So Mandy engages this poor guy in a conversation. He's practically leaning into the car when she, are you ready, fake sneezes and squirts him with a hidden water bottle at the same time. Let's just say the mood quickly changed. Mandy and I are howling in the car, and the guy not so much. Again, I'm going to blame it on the 80s for Mandy and I thinking this was absolutely hysterical. Then a bit of panic sets in for Mandy because we're stuck in traffic next to this guy who isn't laughing. Mandy, this goes out to you. Huey Lewis and the News, working for a living.
Some days they last forever, and some days passing by. I've been working here forever, at least until I die. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I'm supposed to get a raise next week, you know damn well I won't. Working for a living, working for a living, working for a living, living and I'm working. I'm taking what they're giving, cause I'm working for a living. Ha! Whoa, whoa, working for a living. Whoa, whoa, I'm taking what they're giving. Whoa, whoa, working for a living. Whoa, whoa, whoa. The bus boy, bartender, lady of the night, grease, bucky, ex-junkie, winner of the fight. Working on the streets, it's really all the same. Selling soul, rock and roll, any other game. Working for a living, working for a living, working for a living, living and a working. I'm taking what they're giving, cause I'm working for a living. Working.
As you know, we close each episode with a story. This tale is about things we pass down from generation to generation. Without further ado, let me tell you a story. When I think about the heirlooms in our family, none of them have any real monetary value, but they have sentimental value. The wooden candy dish from my grandpa's house, my grandma's Kroom Kaka iron, and my dad's Saturday night steak plate. As my mom ages, there's a running joke in our family. If you like something in her home, grab a piece of tape, put your name on it, and tape it to the bottom of the item. My sister believes the duct tape under Mom's car is legit. Yeah, not so much, but good try, Annie. I didn't really think I had anything of value that my nieces or nephews would ever want to put their name on. That is until a few years ago, when my nephew Patrick asked for a piece of tape for an item that comes out every time I entertain. An item I got at a garage sale. When I was in my early 20s, my mom and I were passing a garage sale, and she said, oh, we should stop. The guy who lives there, he's a bachelor. He's a bit of a playboy. He's selling everything to buy an RV and start traveling. We should stop. Begrudgingly, I agreed to check it out. There in his garage were the entire contents of his home. There before us in every aisle they had created was the story of his life. While Mom was looking at some glasses, I spotted this amazing treasure. It was something I never knew I needed. It was something I had never seen before. It was metal, and it was shaped like a deep sea diver's helmet. And when you lifted the top off, you discovered it was actually an ice bucket. I knew I had to have it. It would be the perfect item for our apartment. At the time, I would say the decorating aesthetic of my apartment was kitschy. We had a cow print chair, a huge coffee table in the middle of the living room with a low shelf filled with odd toys and trinkets, and above the fireplace hung a random surrealist frame poster of the Son of Man. And you've probably seen it. It's the guy wearing the suit and a bowler hat, and covering his face is this green apple. We'll link an image of it in the show notes. Anyway, I knew this ice bucket would fit into our eclectic pad perfectly. It could sit out and serve as quote-unquote art when we weren't serving up cocktails. As I went to pay for the item, the bachelor playboy was actually working. As I headed his way, he said, "Oh, that baby, she's a gem. Many a night she would sit on the headboard of my waterbed, holding a bottle of champagne on ice. Oh, if only she could talk." Are you kidding me? Oh my, I was dying. When Mom and I finally got back to the car and shut the door, we both burst out laughing. I was absolutely flabbergasted. Needless to say, I gave the ice bucket a very good cleaning before it was displayed or used. I did a lot of entertaining in my 20s. Okay, we threw a lot of parties in my 20s, and this was the perfect addition to our bar. There's absolutely nothing special about this ice bucket. It's not fancy, it's not expensive, but to this day, I bring it out every time I entertain. It's a conversation piece. There is definitely a story behind the ice bucket. When I reflect on this story, I'm thankful for a few things. Thankful that my taste in decorating has changed from eclectic kitsch to a bit more traditional. I'm thankful that there is something in my home that somebody actually wants, and I have no doubt the story of obtaining this treasure will get passed on. But most importantly, I'm so very thankful my ice bucket can't talk. That's it for episode 5. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, share it with a friend. Leave us a message on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. We have links to all these social media outlets in the show notes. Who knows, maybe your comment will be used in our new segment also. Benjamin, my dear Yiddish Yapper, thanks so much for teaching me about Hanukkah and the word mensch. I love having you on the show. Thanks to my sister Annie for all the amazing gift ideas. And I'll be honest, I don't think they were just for dudes. I mean, I'd like to receive some of those. Remember, we have links to all these great gifts in the show notes and on our website. And don't forget to check out the show link to Annie's jewelry site. She makes that great copper enamel jewelry. This is truly for the gals in your life, and they're going to love it. And you're going to love the deal. She's offering 25% off in her Etsy store and enter Diva Deal 25 at checkout. A huge thanks to Christy for sharing her Huey Lewis concert story in the Long Distance Serenade. You are definitely going to want to check out the show notes to see the picture of them in their purple silky shirts. You can also find them in the gallery at crashtestdiva.com. And to JC, the Renaissance Rebel. I can't tell you how impressed I am by today's song. I loved all the thumping on the guitar face. Don't forget, we need you guys to submit requests for this segment. Please send us an email. The link is in the show notes. Once again, I need to thank our digital marketing diva, Josie Eichers, Genetic Drift for writing our theme song, and Michelle Herzberg, who designed our logo. From the bottom of my heart, thanks. Join us for episode 6. The plans are still in the works, but one of my best friends will be turning 50. So I've got a feeling we'll be sharing some stories about him on the show. Thanks again for listening. I hope you've been able to escape a little of your own reality and enjoyed the show. If you have a friend you think might like our little variety podcast, please share it with them. And if you're listening on an Apple product, please give us a review on iTunes. Remember, bruises are like life. The harder you get hit, the more colorful and interesting they get.